Who are Clockmans and who is their leader? What abilities does the Titan Clockman have? And why is he the strongest of all the Titans in the SKIBIDI Toilet multiverse? Greetings, my dear viewers, the Pyramid on Air. In this video, we will fully analyze the first season of the SKIBIDI Toilet multiverse and look at all the secrets and Easter eggs that you may not have noticed. The history of this multiverse begins with the 59th episode of the original series from Boom. Everything that happened up to this point unfolds in the same way in this multiverse, but what happens next is significantly different from the original series. I would like to thank the author of Dom Studio for this new and amazing universe, because the author strives to add new characters, and everything that happens here is not inferior to the quality of the original series. The beginning of the episode begins with the last scene of episode 59, and continues with the first episode of the SKIBIDI multiverse. We are shown how 3 Astro Toilets attack Big Speaker Man, and they still manage to blow them up. This makes Titan Speakerman very angry, and he chases after the Astro Toilets, leaving Titan Cameraman alone. But he doesn't have to be bored for long, because 2 more Astro Toilets attack him from behind. Look, they attack with their lasers directly into the core of the Titan Cameraman's core, but in order not to get damaged, he closes the core with his own hands. Then a SKIBIDI parasite approaches from behind, which has a drill to penetrate inside the victim, as well as a wire tongue that connects directly to the victim's head. We can see this in episode 6, when Titan Clockman pulled out the SKIBIDI parasite from the Titan Cameraman, but he failed as the parasite was only pulled out along with the Titan Cameraman's head. After deep penetration, Titan Cameraman falls to the ground. Why did he allow himself to be taken control? Indeed, in episode 57 of part 2 of the original SKIBIDI Toilet series, we already saw how the SKIBIDI parasite was already trying to infect the Titan Cameraman, but he sensed it and easily crushed this nasty toilet. It seems to me that he was simply protecting his core, because if he had been hit, the Titan Cameraman would not be alive now. However, when he was already infected, he tries to save the Alliance from a threat that could be himself, and he takes out his knife and tries to pierce the core to incapacitate himself, but it misses. At this moment, Titan Speakerman wants to save his comrade, but he was prevented by the Astro Toilets, who also fired their cannons so that Titan Cameraman, under the control of SKIBIDI Toilets, could fly away from here. The Astro Toilets stop attacking the Titan Speakerman, fly to their base, followed by the Titan Speakerman leaving the cameraman alone to fight the SKIBIDI Toilets. The SKIBIDI Toilets take advantage of this moment, and one of them attacks us. By the way, this toilet seems to have come from the 49th episode of the original SKIBIDI series, from which TV Woman saved us. This time, the Hourglass Hammer Clockman comes to the rescue, smashing the toilet with his hammer, and also following him is the Gentleman Clockman, who greets us with his cool hat. He immediately hands us the watch as a gift. And this scene reminds us of episode 40 of the original series, where TV Man gave us a protective lens for the camera so as not to be affected by the light of Titan TV Mans. This watch saves its owner from being frozen in time. We see SKIBIDI Toilets approaching us, but they will be opposed by Clockman. Let's take a closer look at them. It seems there are 7 types of Clockman. This is the Alarm Clockman, which most likely notifies the arrival of SKIBIDI Toilets. The Clockman Gentleman, who is wiser than everyone and takes the role of a strategist, because it is he who stops the Titan Clockman from fighting the Titan Cameraman in episode 4. The Big Clockman, who can stopping time on the battlefield. A Torsion Pendulum Clockman, who will soon learn to turn back time to heal the wounded. A Cuckoo Clockman, who sits in his lair and most likely works on a computer, and we will see him in the 2nd episode. And finally, a Titan Clockman, who has incredible strength and will appear in episode 3. But more on that later. There is also the beautiful Clockwoman, who comes to us in episode 7 to cure the Big Clockman. They all have their own roles and abilities that they perform. For example, in this episode we can see that the Big Clockman can stop time for a certain number of seconds so that the agents can turn this time to their advantage. The frame changes and we are watching a large Clockman from the side, and as soon as the hands strike 12 o'clock, they rotate chaotically and a large pulse explosion comes out, which stops time. This time, the arrows show that they have 26 seconds for the cameraman to plant bombs near the SKIBIDI Toilets. And this is an incredibly powerful ability, because during this period of time, while time is stopped, you can do almost anything only if you have a watch. When time runs out, all the SKIBIDI Toilets explode. POV Cameraman gives a thumbs up, and so begins the 2nd episode. We see SKIBIDI Toilets attacking us, and the Alarm Clockman goes to deal with them. However, as soon as the large SKIBIDI Toilet came out with an explosion, the Alarm Clockman turns around and leaves. What was that just now? Suddenly, a toilet helicopter attacks us from behind, attacking us with its rocket, and the leader Clockman protects us with his body. This, of course, was a noble act on the part of the gentleman. But the situation is saved by a Big Clockman who stops time. The Clockman leader looks at the Big Clockman, and he seems to be telling us, "Hey dude, look at my watch. You have 10 seconds to save yourself and destroy the toilet." Then we notice Clockman, who has a jetpack and 2 hourglasses near his head. He also has a hammer that he uses to destroy SKIBIDI toilets, just like in the first episode. It also has a clock-shaped core in the center, possibly allowing it to be transported through time and even to other multiverses. Meanwhile, he takes off to take the SKIBIDI helicopter and place it under his own rocket. How do you like that, Elon Musk? When the time stop ends, the toilet has already been destroyed. A Clockman helicopter flies up to us and wants to save the guys. However, the SKIBIDI toilets came to the sound of the helicopter. Then the big Clockman tries to stop time again, but he fails. And from this, we understand that the big Clockman cannot stop time an unlimited number of times, because his ability also needs to be recharged. Nevertheless, we were still able to be saved, and we are on the Clockman ship. A funny scene happens there because the Speakerman teaches the Alarm Clockman to flex. Alarm Clockman quickly learned these movements and joined the Speakerman. Also in the background, we can see the Torsion Pendulum Clockman reading a book about houseplants. And this means that he loves plants and everything connected with them. Meanwhile, we are already approaching the Clockman base, which looks like a moon with a suspended pendulum. Inside, we are greeted by the Cuckoo Clockman, and the Torsion Pendulum Clockman immediately saw a dead flower, and he revived it by turning back time. That is, he has the ability to save lives after death simply by turning back time. I wonder if this ability also needs to be recharged like the big Clockman, or if he can do this an infinite number of times. I'd like to hear the answer to this question. What do you think about it? Write in the comments. Also in the background, we see wooden men from IKEA, and they seem to be discussing something. Maybe Dom's studio designed the ISO toilet and Elite Clockman as these little people, and they are discussing their plans. After all, in episode 13, we were already given to understand that they clearly know something. Meanwhile, the Alarm Clockman came up to the Torsion Pendulum Clockman and slapped him on the hands. I have no idea what this could mean, but it caused them to start slapping each other's hands. Cuckoo Clockman shows with his gesture that they have clearly gone crazy. And Dom's studio made a wonderful reference to the cartoon Beauty and the Beast, because we can also notice a clock named Cogsworth in the background. Then in the next scene, we see Leader Clockman standing next to a computer with something written in Morse code. I deciphered what was there, and in this message it said, "Need Titan." And on the computer itself, there was a sticker that said, "Future," which means that the Titan Clockman will appear in the coming episodes. And so it happened because he appeared in episode 3 of the SKIBIDI multiverse. Suddenly the screen goes dark, and the Alarm Clockman head starts ringing, pointing to the exit. Outside, we discover that an army of SKIBIDI toilets have gathered near the Clockman base, most of which are already familiar to us, such as the Skull Toilet, which came from episode 55 of the original series, as well as the Saw Toilet, which was also present in episode 10 of the SKIBIDI multiverse. Then the cameraman looks somewhere in the sky, most likely he is looking at a bright future. But who did he see? We can notice the Titan Clockman, as we can notice a torsion pendulum on its shoulders. He probably came to save his allies, but suddenly time is rewinded, and we are in the same city that was shown to us in the second episode. I think now we are being shown the events that took place after the Clockman helicopter saved the Alliance from the battlefield and flew to the base. Most likely the Titan Clockman came here to cleanse this city of SKIBIDI toilets. We see how from below the SKIBIDI toilet attacks the TV man and the cutie TV woman with a scythe. However, when we turn our heads, we see that this SKIBIDI mutant also wants to attack us, from which Titan Clockman saves us with his shuriken. It looks quite hefty and looks like a real Giga Chad. If we freeze this frame here, we can see that it has body parts from all Clockmen, for example. 2 torsion pendulums on the shoulders and a cuckoo house on the back. This means that he has the abilities of all the Clockmen and can both stop time and turn it back. In addition, on his face, we see a clock that twists into a spiral, which creates a feeling of something endless. Perhaps he can be in several time periods at the same time. Also in its core, we can also see a clock with gears, and it seems to me that thanks to this, he can travel in time. Since in episode 15, we were already shown the ability to move in the space-time continuum. Shurikens float in the air around him, which he controls with his mind to attack the enemy. Just like this is implemented in the updated Titan TV Man, who can disconnect TVs from his body for further attack. After our rescue, Titan Clockman decides to deal with the other toilets. He shoots the cannon first at one of the toilets below, and then at the flying SKIBIDI of the toilet. Oh my god, the power of this gun is simply incredible because it literally stops time for the creature it is shot at. Let's take a closer look at his gun. There are particles floating in the air before it fires, and I think the gun collects time energy before the attack and then forms it into a sphere that freezes the creature for a certain amount of time. But how many minutes or hours does the victim freeze? I think it depends on how long the gun was charged before firing. In this frame, we can see that the gauge is lit in red, which means that there is some kind of limit for charging the weapon. And I think that if the scale is bright red, then most likely there will be a time explosion. due to which all creatures nearby will be frozen in time for an indefinite period. But I hope this Giga Chad can control himself and his abilities. When Titan Clockman shoots a red sphere at this toilet, it also freezes in time. Bro, it looks like you've been stuck here for a long time. However, Titan Clockman uses one of his abilities, similar to the magic of Marvel's Doctor Strange, and charges the cannon with a green orb that brainwashes this toilet. And with the help of his ability, he subjugates the toilet and makes him a puppet. He probably made him his slave for a very long time, because he also appears in the 5th episode of the SKIBIDI multiverse. Astro toilets fly to his aid, but are immediately destroyed by a large toilet. Suddenly, someone from behind shoots at the Titan Clockman, but he didn't even flinch, as if he didn't even feel anything. He turns around and sees a SKIBIDI scientist who has upgraded his toilet and added a helicopter to it. The Titan Clockman is ready to fight him, but unfortunately we were not shown this battle. But I am sure that the Titan Clockman easily defeated the SKIBIDI scientist. The 4th episode begins with us playing chess with TV Man, but suddenly there is an explosion, and we see SKIBIDI Scientist. He is slightly different from the SKIBIDI Scientist from episode 3. Now we will try to understand all this and build a chronology of events. In the 2nd episode, the Alliance fights with the SKIBIDI toilets, but they realize that their numbers are very small, and therefore a Clockman helicopter flies after them, which rescues them from the battlefield. Meanwhile, Titan Clockman decides to clear the city of the remaining SKIBIDI toilets. When the helicopter arrived at the base after a while, they were also discovered by SKIBIDI toilets, who had gathered an army to attack the Clockman base. Then the leader Clockman sent a Morse code to the Alliance, asking for the Titans' help. At this time, the Titan Clockman receives this message and flies to the Clockman base to destroy the army of toilets and save his allies. However, we are not shown this battle, and most likely the Clockman won and they managed to recapture their base. Then the Titan Clockman and several of these guys arrive in the same city, and from that moment the 4th episode begins. I hope you understood what I just said, because Dom Studio made these episodes a little confusing, and it took me a while to understand everything and find the connection between these episodes. When the Titan Clockman decides to attack the SKIBIDI scientist, G-Man appears from behind, firing his lasers at the Titan. However, his lasers also don't do any damage to him, and he charged his cannon to stop those jetpacks from working. G-Man appears in this multiverse for the first time, but he remains as cowardly as in the original SKIBIDI toilet series. The Titan grabs G-Man by the head, and he tries to use his powers to control the mind, as he did in the 3rd episode. At this moment, a beam flies out from Titan, which flies straight at G-Man to subdue him. But suddenly he is attacked from behind by SKIBIDI Scientist, and the Titan does not have time to complete the time therapy over this toilet. At this moment, we hear the ringing of a clock and see how a temporary shuriken flies towards SKIBIDI Scientist. However, he flies very slowly, allowing the Astro toilets to fly in and intercept him. But why do they need Titan Clockman's shuriken? Most likely to study it and develop new temporary shuriken for SKIBIDI toilets. Titan knocks out SKIBIDI Scientist with one punch, and then G-Man. And this was the last blow to his face, since for 19 episodes, we did not see him again. But Dom Studio announced in his Discord that he will improve his weapons and armor and then return to take revenge on the Alliance and on Clockman for his brutal blow. After this, Titan turns around and sees other SKIBIDI toilets flying towards him along with Titan Cameraman. The Titan Clockman really wanted to fight him, but the leader Clockman indicated with a gesture that the fight will take place next time, since the Titan Clockman needs rest, because we see how its core is already beginning to spark, and smoke is coming from inside, which tells us about serious damage. The Titan Clockman agrees to this and decides to leave the battlefield. To do this, he charges his cannon with time particles to stop his opponents in time. But before that, the SKIBIDI Scientist comes to his senses, and he again wants to get a slap in the face from the Titan. The Titan provides him with this service without any problems, and then shoots with temporary spheres and disappears. But pay attention to the lightning around him. At this moment, it is as if he is collecting the energy of time and charging with it in order to then teleport. Just like his gun is charged with particles to freeze the victim in time. However, the toilets begin to fall and explode. What do you think that just happened? I'm guessing he doesn't have the ability to teleport because the Titan TV Man and SKIBIDI Scientist have that feature. It would be stupid to use this ability on the Titan Clockman, since he manipulates time, so why does he need teleportation? Most likely he can not only slow down time and turn it back, but he's also able to speed it up, at least for himself. He accelerated so quickly that we didn't even notice how he destroyed these toilets, and then quickly ran away. The ability to manipulate time is the most powerful ability in the SKIBIDI multiverse, which is why Titan Clockman is the strongest Titan among the existing Titans. This was also confirmed by Dom Studio himself in his Discord, calling him the strongest Titan. While POV cameraman watched the Titan Clockman and his ability to accelerate time, the other members of the Alliance boarded Clockman's helicopter and simply flew away, leaving the POV cameraman with enemies. We know that TV Man can simply walk away from the battlefield, leaving his allies in a difficult position. But why didn't TV Man teleport to the ship with him? This remains a question for me. POV cameraman stretches out his hands to the flying helicopter, but the helicopter was already far away and they didn't care about it. SKIBIDI scientist recovers from being hit by Titan Clockmans again, and he attacks this poor POV cameraman. His fate is tragic. This scene reminded me of Simp Cameraman, who was also left to die in the rubble. In the following episodes, this series becomes more and more interesting, and there are more and more secrets and Easter eggs. May the force of the pyramid be with you! Good luck!